So let's get to Undersecretary Donnie Puno and what he had to say here. But this is an interview. This was actually really recent. This was only about a day and a half ago or so, and it's in English with Undersecretary Donnie Puno of the DILG in the Philippines.
Yes.
No rest for
government employees. Don't get breaks.
And this is your first live interview.
Yes,
I heard.
yes, it is.
And we have so many topics to discuss today, Yusek. Let's start off with that Russian vlogger who made quite the headlines for his content.
Yeah.
I mean, you even have the president commenting, expressing his dismay that should not be tolerated. Give us an update, Yusek. What's the latest on the investigation, the charges on this Russian vlogger?
So briefly, what happened last week, DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla called for a press conference to present the Russian vlogger, Vitaly Starovetsky, to the media. And this was based on a blotter that was filed in Taguig.
A blotter is like referring to a police report. So like it was reported to police and police put out a notice on Vitaly in Taguig.
Where Vitaly, based on the report, committed disruptive and inappropriate acts, to quote the report.
Who filed the blotter?
Some victims in Taguig. So I'm sure you've seen
themselves.
Yes, I'm sure you've seen the videos. He was caught harassing a Filipina. He tried grabbing the cap of a security guard, as you can see there. And then there were other acts that he committed in Boracay. This guy has been around. He's been doing this since 2012 all over the world. He's been in the States. He's been to Brazil, Egypt, the UK, doing this sort of thing.
And this is a great point. See how they're noticing, like they're saying, look, this guy's been around the world and done this. This is a very important point because they know that he's made a laughing stock of other countries. So if you allow him to do this to the Philippines will join in as this laughing stock because he's not just mocking, a person, an individual. He's mocking the country. He's mocking the culture. He's mocking everybody there through his actions.
Now, Secretary John Vic has said he violated our laws and he disrespected Filipinos. Filipinos we are friendly people, we are hospitable people. But this guy took advantage of us. And ang malas niya, if other countries merely deported him, ang malas niya ngayon, his tough luck is that we have Secretary Remulla saying now that we're not going to let him off easy.
Yeah, you guys, we watched the Remulla video. Remulla had no sympathy for this dude at all whatsoever. There was zero sympathy for this dude, which was very, very much called for in this case, in my opinion.
So he will not be deported. He will stand trial here. He will face the charges here. And hopefully he will be jailed here.
So where is Vitaly right now?
Vitaly is currently detained at the Bureau of Immigration's detention center in Camp Bagong Diwa.
Okay.
And he will await trial there.
And what charges specifically will be filed against?
There are several charges that he's already facing. There are several counts of unjust vexation. There's theft. Attempted robbery, even I think, is one of the cases.
That's great. Once again, more charges, as we've seen in the case with Johnny Somali. The more charges, the better. So you get a bunch, and you're going to get at least a couple that are going to stick. And you also want to make sure you're getting real jail time. And even what I like the undersecretary mentioned here was that he needs to be jailed here in the Philippines, right? So he's going to stay there. He's going to get trial there, and he's going to be jailed there. That's the combo. Is that he's going to have to wait. He's going to have to face that trial, and he's going to have to face justice in the Philippines prison. Perfect combination together.
That he's facing. In the inquest that was conducted, he admitted to it in the presence of his counsel.
Which is insane. So let me understand. Let's just make this clear. Vitaly confessed to his crimes live in front of his lawyer. He's already confessed. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. I think the legal term for his situation is cooked. That's what the kids use nowadays in the courtroom. They use cooked. They say, "Judge, my client is cooked." No, I mean that's his defense is not going to look good here. His lawyer doesn't have much options.
He admitted to doing those acts. So, like I said, Secretary John Vic wants him to stand trial here, and he'll face the consequences here.
But can he argue that it was all for content? I mean, for social media, yeah.
He can argue it all he wants.
And the whole thing is, and I'll leave that there for reasons. The thing is, as she brings up, can he argue it? But he can argue anything he wants, but it's not a winning argument, right? It's not a winning argument. So you can say, oh, I'm insane, but that doesn't mean you're going to win your insanity plea. So he can say, oh, it's just content. Or in his case, he was saying, oh, it's just a prank. That doesn't get him out.
Right? But the bottom line is he violated laws. He committed acts against Filipino citizens, which is against our laws.
Correct.
So he can argue it all he wants. He can take it to court.
So, Yusek, I mean, what message is the DILG trying to send here to foreigners who come to the Philippines to make content and, I guess, also disrupt the lives of Filipinos while they're here?
You know, creating content such as Vitaly's, you know, he can go about doing that all he wants. But, you know, it was in an editorial in Manila Times the other day, and they were saying, while arguments rage about regulating content and such, let's not forget that there are already existing laws that people need to follow. And he tried creating his content at the expense of the Filipinos, making them look like fools. That's what Secretary John Vic didn't like. So we'll await the trial, and we'll see what happens.
You know what I found quite interesting also, Yusek, during this particular press conference that we were showing earlier, the demeanor also of Vitaly, right?
Yeah, he was rude the whole time the secretary was talking to the media. He was in the back. He was saying things. He was mumbling aloud.
Yeah.
He was disruptive. His behavior is totally disruptive.
So he wasn't apologetic.
He was not apologetic.
This is, once again, this is how Johnny Somali and Vitaly are the same. Both of them are unapologetic, completely unapologetic. They do not at all recognize the problems with what they did. And this is the insane part. Them and their followers, right, are doubling and tripling down that not only did they do nothing wrong, but they want to come back and do more of it. And that they're not going to stop. They're going to keep doing this behavior. So the only way to stop this, when they've promised to keep doing it, is to show them that there's consequences for these actions.
At all.
Okay.
You know, good thing for him that the secretary was able to control his temper. Hindi siya pinatulan ni secretary. But really, he was even at the press conference, he was very in the presence of PNP personnel. In the presence of our secretary, he acted that way.
So I guess the question right now, Yusek, is the DILG doing anything, or does the DILG plan to do anything to curb the misuse of these kinds of behavior on social media and potentially harm Filipinos?
You know, we've had several discussions over the past couple of weeks with PCO Secretary J. Ruiz and the DICT Secretary Henry Aguda. And this has to be an effort between the three departments. And I think we're headed in that direction. This is all in line with the president's order to go after fake news. You know, fake news, disinformation, misinformation, all of this content on social media that's wreaking havoc already online. There has to be.
This is where I get like, look, here's the other thing too. And this is where he really screwed up, doing this during an election season. So when you give them the opportunity, so now Vitaly gave a golden opportunity to tie this in with existing political initiatives, he's screwed. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in those or not. Because, for example, I'm not making a overall statement on who you vote for in the Philippines. That's your choice as a Philippines voter. But you messed around at the wrong time of the year. It is silly to do this during a prime election season, right?
To regulate this. PCO Secretary J. Ruiz said that he has met with representatives of the content of the platforms, of the various platforms, to get them to cooperate in terms of just monitoring what kind of content is out there.
But just to follow up also, Yusek, just to make sure that this is being done lawfully and
Sure.
with due process, he's Russian. What if the Russian government asks to, let Vitaly
Here we go, guys. He's Russian. So who should be asking? Russia. Okay, so let's make the hypothetical.
face the charges instead in their jurisdiction?
He broke our laws.
Okay.
He broke our laws. He broke Philippine laws here in our country. So he has to stand trial here.
All right. Well, I did say we will be discussing a lot of topics today.
Yes.
So
Okay, so that's the end of that topic. A very good discussion there. That was just once again 24 hours ago, and confirming that they are still on this, that he is not going anywhere, that he is going to be put in his place, and that they are not going to let him slide, which is exactly what you love to hear, because you love to know that these people are not going to get away with what they're doing. They're not going to get away with this behavior in the future, which is the entire point.